What's going on, everybody? If we haven't met before, my name is Caleb, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Today's video is very special. It's going to be the first part of a two-part series where I'm going to discuss lessons and different things that I have learned in writing songs and finishing albums. So I hope you get a lot of value out of today's video, but also get a lot of value out of next week's video, which I think are both together going to help you not only finish songs, but feel good about what you're doing. So I hope that makes you excited just like it makes me excited. And we're going to go ahead and start off with the framework. But before we get to the framework, I want to introduce myself this time because I haven't done that in other videos. So a little bit about me. My name is Caleb. I am from the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. We call it the DMV. It doesn't stand for Department of Motor Vehicles. It stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So at least that's what we like to say or think. But I'm from this area. I grew up here, and it's here that I really learned and honed my skill for, playing music, being a musician, writing songs, tracking, learning how to record, and that whole process. So what I'm going to share with you today is going to be things that I have learned over the last 10, 12 years with putting songs together. And I'm going to apply something that I think is pretty unique that I haven't seen online. And so I hope you, like I said, I hope you really enjoy it. So for those of you that don't know, I went to Liberty University for my undergrad. And while I was there, I studied business project management with a minor in music. And it was in my project management classes that I learned an acronym that we're going to apply to today's video that I think is going to help with the songwriting process. So the acronym that I learned was I.P.E.M.C. And what that stands for is initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing the project. So, like I said before, this is going to be the first part of a two-part series. Today, we are going to cover the initiating and the planning part of that acronym. Next week, we will cover the rest of it. So I hope you stay tuned in for next week's video. It's also next week is going to have some additional information on there that I think will be very valuable for my songwriters, my producers, my people who are musicians, people who are working together to put things out. So I hope you guys really enjoyed today's episode and then also next week's episode. Starting with the first letter of the acronym, I, which stands for initiating. To me, when the songwriting process has been initiated or started, this can happen many different ways. Sometimes you don't even recognize that it's happening. But for me, right, a lot of times I'll get an inspiration for something and it may be, a melody or maybe a rhythm or maybe a lyric or something of that nature. And what I have learned to do is to record or write down that idea, right? And I recommend that 100%. When you have an idea come to you, write it down and record it, right? So, for example, let's say you get an idea as soon as you're like waking up in the morning, right? What I recommend is get out your phone, right? If it's lyrics, open the notepad of your app and write in those lyrics, right? If it's a vocal part, then go to the voice memo and record the vocal, right? Or if it's a rhythm part and you can think of the rhythm in your head, record that on the voice memo app on your phone. The reason why I say that is from my personal experience. I've had some great ideas that I thought I was going to remember because, the idea is so good. You can't forget, right? But guess what happened? I forgot it, right? And I forgot it. And what's worse is I didn't write it down. I didn't record it. So all I had was this really cool moment that happened, but I forgot what happened. I didn't record it, right? And there are a ton of songs and a ton of song ideas that I could have capitalized on, but I didn't because I didn't record it because I thought I was going to remember it, and that is not what happened. So, my recommendation is to always, 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 when you get inspiration, to write out the idea. If it's a lyric, if it's a melody, record it, right? If it's, a beat, record that beat as best as you can, in your voice memo, right? And then that way, when you come back to your studio, you can um, pull up your phone and pull up the recording and be like, oh, let me go to what I heard earlier today, or maybe it's a week from now, right? And when you have time to work on it, go back and reference it and start initiating that project. So I think that for me is what I have found to help not only with remembering ideas, but also in the moments where I'm sitting down to work on music, but I really don't have anything to work on that day. I'll just scroll through my phone and see, oh, yep, hey, I recorded this audio, like a month ago, and I haven't worked on it yet. Let me work on that today. Let me see if that's a good idea to start working on. And that has helped me to not waste time in the studio, and has helped me to, stay on top of finishing music. So I think that is a great option and a great decision and a great tool to use. Is that when you have the idea, to immediately, as quickly as you can, to remember to record it so that you know what it's going to sound like, and that you know what it's going to feel like when you start working on the song eventually. The second letter of the acronym I.P.E.M.C stands for planning. Now, what I'm about to share with you is something that I think can really help overcome challenges and delays that we all have with projects, right? So, when it comes to writing songs, the thing that I have found to help me not only finish a song, but to understand the purpose and the reason behind it is this planning phase. Now, what does this planning phase look like? I think it can look like different things for different people, but for me, this is what I have found to really help me understand and think about what I'm doing. So, the first thing I do is I am thinking about what I want this song to be about. The second thing is I am thinking about how do I want it to sound. And the last thing I'm thinking about is what do I want my audience to take away from this song, right? So I spend a lot of time thinking about that. And when I say a lot of time, I don't mean years. What I mean by is maybe taking 30 minutes, maybe even an hour to really think about what do I want this song to be about? How do I want it to sound? And what do I want my audience to take away from it, right? And then the second part of that is I write down what I want the song to be about, what I want it to sound like, and what I want my audience to take away from it. Now, why is this crucial, right? It seems self-explanatory, right? It seems like you shouldn't have to say this, but honestly, I think we do, right? And this is why. Have you ever started something and didn't finish it, right? Have you ever started something and you really didn't know what you were doing and you were just kind of like winging it, and then, you know, it just eventually just, got stuck on the shelf somewhere, and, you know, 5, 10 years later pass and nothing has happened, right? Why do you think that is, right? For me, what I have noticed is a pattern for me is if I am trying to do something spontaneous and trying to, work on something on the fly and kind of wing it, I can really depending on the level that I'm trying to do it, right? I can wing a lot of things and it sound okay. But when it comes to am I getting better as I'm doing this? I can't really say that happens spontaneously, right? And so one of the things that I started to do a few years ago was this, what I just told you, is I started to realize like I am getting stuck on all of these songs that I'm doing at particular points, right? Sometimes I was getting stuck on the first verse, sometimes I was getting stuck on the second verse, sometimes I didn't know how I wanted a song to finish, right? And like I wasn't getting anywhere, right? And so one day I started to take some time and really think about like the things I just said. What do I want this song to be about? What do I want it to sound like? And what do I want my audience to take away from it? And in doing that, I didn't realize it at this time, but in doing that, I was answering questions that I hadn't asked myself, right? And so what I found is as I was getting clarity on my intention for the song and I was writing it down, right? I was helping myself figure out how I wanted this to go and how I wanted it to land, right? So when I'm talking about writing things out, what I mean is, you remember when you were in like elementary school or high school or maybe even college and you had to write like essays on different things and you had a topic and then you had to develop points and a thesis and all that stuff, right? That's what I mean, right? And I don't mean you need to have like an outline and, this is my intro and this is my first point, second point, third point, and then this is my conclusion. I don't mean that. But what I do mean is to write down what you want this song to be about, right? Let's say you have a title about um, being in a loop, right? And okay, so you're writing about a song about being in a loop. Okay, what's a loop? What do I want the loop? What do I want it to be about? Loops are cool. Like if you have a Fruit Loop, or a hula hoop, right? Or you know, uh, if you're in the DMV area, you know about the inner loop and the outer loop, right? And getting stuck in traffic, right? And so let's say you're talking about that, right? And you're writing out, okay, here are different loops and da 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 da, da, right? And then you just take time to really think about, man, like, what do I want this song about a loop being in, or like be about, right? And what I want it to sound like. Well, I want it to sound like energetic and new and fresh and this and that, right? It's like, okay, so I'm writing that down, right? And then thinking about my audience. Okay, what do I want my audience to take away from this, right? And then you write that down, right? So doing those things, I feel like has helped me figure out how I want a song to come together, right? And how I want it to be structured and how I want, what part of what message do I want to insert into the verse, the chorus, the second verse, the bridge, the whatever, right? And I think that helps overcome obstacles and delays and different things. Now, it's not a perfect process, right? I don't think every time you sit down and your first idea is the only idea that you'll get, right? But I think it helps with giving yourself time to really think about the thing that you want to talk about. So now, and keep in mind, this is for people who are writing songs about specific things, right? This is not for you have 30 minutes to write a verse, right, or write a song, and you are just you know doing everything on the fly, right? This process is not for that. This is meant for like you have a song idea that you want to really unpack and put together. I think this will really help you with that. So with that being said, that's the end of today's video. Like I said, I hope you guys are doing well. And next week, we will finish up with the second part of the acronym. And I hope that you are doing well. And I hope that this helps you. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. If you haven't already, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay tuned in to what's going on here. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.